coffee, quick. Everyone wave. Perfect, thank you very much. That's for my nan. She doesn't use the internet, so I have to show her everything on her phone. Thanks, Melanie, for a very kind intro. Morning, everyone. How's it going?
Morning.
Yeah, that's nice. Everyone's had their coffee, everyone's a bit more awake. So thanks for the lovely intro, Melon. Thanks to Creative Mornings for inviting me here. It's such a great pleasure to be invited to talk at Creative Mornings. And, I just want to say you guys do a great job of hosting such a great community every month. And thanks to everyone for actually turning up. I'm glad you all know each other quite intimately in this tiny room, being a bit sweaty and stuff. Everyone's got deodorant on, that's nice. So you guys are a community, and that's what I'm hoping to talk to you about today, is community. So I will quickly tell you about myself. As I give an intro, I'll tell you a couple more details now. So I'm a designer. I've been a graphic designer for about 8 years, and for 3 or 4 of those years, I've been a freelancer. So I have a 4-year-old cat. I love a cat. Cats are nice. There's always that argument between cats and dogs, right? Both of them are great, but the thing I find with dogs is when you stroke them, you don't know if they love you or not, whereas cats purr, which is quite nice. I love craft beer. I love the effort that goes into it. I love the taste. I love the selection of beers that you can get. I'm a big craft beer fan. And I'm also the founder, director, and studio manager of Rabble Studio, which everyone is currently in, hopefully having a nice morning. So Rabble Studio, for those of you who don't know, is an independent co-working studio that provides workspace for freelancers, remote workers, and small businesses. Our current members are an eclectic mix of creative characters with jobs ranging from graphic design, illustration, through to copywriting and engineering. And we're a community-focused space with shared intent and shared values. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about how we built this community and what I, as Rabble, mean when I say community a little bit later on. But it's super important to know where it actually came from. And why, actually. That's where and why. So I moved to Cardiff in 2010 with my girlfriend Louise, and I immediately tried to get myself involved in the creative community. I went to meetups and events and conferences and tried to ingrain myself with as many people as possible. But although there were some really great things happening in the city at that time, I couldn't quite find the community I was looking for. So in 2014, with this wonderful group of people, this is Steve, here he is. And this is Christelle, who used to work with, my buddy Rich, who moved to London to live his best millennial life. Alice, who co-founded Spin the Yarn, and Lisa, who's a copywriter working from Sustainable Studio. In 2014, we all got together and we started Design Stuff Cardiff. Design Stuff Cardiff was a monthly talks program, and we hosted 2 awesome talks about design from people based in and around the design industry. And this event, here's some of those people. And it was an event where we could listen to interesting people, we could have fun, we could learn from their ideas, and we could make friends. And there was beer, which is important, right? So we ran Design Stuff Cardiff for 2 years, and over those 2 years we hosted 24 speakers who all gave their time for free. And we had about 70 to 80 people turning up every month from a range of creative backgrounds. We created a community over those 2 years. And the values and lessons that we learned at Design Stuff actually formed the foundations of Rabble. And the idea for this community space emerged from conversations that were initiated here. And those conversations came mostly from freelancers who expressed the need to have a creative space to work from. Because similarly with when I couldn't find a community that I wanted to be involved in, there was a bunch of shared workspace in Cardiff that existed at that time, but myself and these freelancers felt that the space that we wanted didn't exist, and that the spaces that were already there weren't quite right. And as I said, I sympathized with these conversations, especially when I went freelance and started working from home. And working from home sucks. I don't like it. Like, sitting in your pants is fine, but I generally didn't find that working from home was any good. So through these conversations, I remember talking to my friend Mark. Does anyone know Mark Thomas? Yeah, he's actually not American, despite what everyone thinks. I remember talking to my friend Mark about this need for creative space and for a community to share the workday with. And he actually sent me this link, and he said, "Hey, have you seen this space? Hey." So this is Friends Work here in New York City, and it's a co-working community that was actually set up and run by Tina Roth-Eisenberg, who is the founder of CreativeMornings. And I was super excited when I found this, when Mark sent me this, sorry. It was just, a wonderful space, and Tina's a wonderful person, and the way that they spoke about this space and the community they were trying to build, about collaboration, about side projects, and genuinely being friends, was really exciting at that time. And I thought, oh man, this has to happen in Cardiff. This has to happen in Cardiff. Are you trying to make a GIF? I feel that's what you're doing, like. I just hear it clicking in the background. Anyway, this space is amazing. I thought, yeah, let's bring this to Cardiff. This absolutely has to happen here. This is the space that I want to be involved in. This is the space that I want to work in. And for some reason, I decided I would give it a go, that I would try and run this type of space. So 1 year later, this is me looking very tired. 1 year later, and as a result from those conversations that happened at Design Stuff Cardiff, Rabble Studio opened. Now, this is just me in this picture, but so many people helped the space come to life. So my friend Alex constantly brought over tiramisu for us to eat together. Melon, as she's already mentioned, was just popping her head in for a cuppa every now and then. Steve, for helping me put together the desks, not this Steve, different Steve. You help a lot though, thanks man. Rich for helping me with the plumbing, because we don't like water spraying everywhere. And also Louise, my girlfriend, for carrying all of the furniture upstairs, which was insane, actually. That stuff is heavy. Why I say it took of those people is that it really does take a village to create communities. So we've been open for 2 years, and what I quickly realized over those 2 years is that building a space for people to work in is incredibly easy. Now, I know that sounds really arrogant, but what I actually mean is that all you need to build a space for people to work in is super comfy furniture, you need really good Wi-Fi, and you need delicious coffee. And that's all you need. But actually building a community is extremely complicated. And it's complicated because communities are made of people. There we go. I was like, wow, there's a slide missing. This isn't going to work. Communities are made of people. And each individual person wants to get something from the community they engage with based on the way that they work and their ideals and their values. Communities are built around values. So before Rabble opened, I wrote down all the values that we had from Design Stuff Cardiff, and I borrowed what I loved about Friends Work here in New York, and I created this guideline of how I wanted the space to work. It was a set of values to build upon, a sort of manual for the Rabble community. So this is Grace Kim. Bear with me. And I recently watched a TED Talk by Grace Kim. She's an architect. I recently watched a TED Talk by her where she talks about co-housing. Now, co-housing is a collection of homes that's clustered around shared space, and she describes these homes as intentional. They are created with deliberate space for social interaction, and she explains that everyone that lives in these homes does so because they want to be a part of this deliberate space. They want to socialize and share their lives. And the community that actually lives there has shared intention. So I really like this idea and this definition of what community is. The community has shared intention. And because of this, and after listening to Grace's talk, I realized that I'd also written down a list of intentions that I hope people who I'd also written down a list of intentions that I hoped people at Rabble could share. One sentence. But how do we use and apply this manual? And I want to give you a couple of examples of how we use these. So I'm going to pick out a couple of bits from here. And the first one is creating a work home. So this is the original model that we built before we opened. And what I mean by creating a work home is while Rabble is a place to work, it's also a place for colleagues to become friends, okay? It's a place where you can feel welcome when you walk in the door. It's your space. It's your home. And we created this model not only for that, to explain how we were going to use the space, but also to be very open about the fact that this was going to be Rabble version 1. And that the space and the community and the way it was built would be developed in response to members over time. So one of the ways we respond to members is through feedback, is through listening to them and learning from them. Okay, so every 3 months we send out this feedback form and we say, hey, how's it going, everyone? What's working in the space? What's not working? What's important to you as a member? And people can feedback and shape how the space is run, as I've already explained. And this is totally anonymous, and this is really important. The reason why it's anonymous is because anonymity enables honesty. In person, no one's ever going to say to me, like, hey, that Nintendo you bought is really amazing, but actually, what we really need is a kitchen, knobhead. Okay. That's actually how the kitchen got built, by the way. The kitchen used to be disgusting, and we recently rebuilt the kitchen. But the important aspect of this stuff is transparency is communication. Transparency is communication? No. Transparency and communication are key. And once we've got this feedback, we all sit down together and we review it collectively and we figure out what's important. So conversation is another important part of Rabble, and one of the main ways we facilitate conversation is through lunch. This was all very delicious. I love having lunch. One of the only rules we actually have at Rabble is to try not to eat lunch at your desk. Even if you've only got 5 minutes, it's important to come away from your workday and to spend some time with people, for your well-being and to connect with each other. And we love doing this so much that we actually organize a potluck lunch every month. And this is where we say, hey, everyone, bring in, something you've made that you can share with everyone else. And we sit down and we have conversations and we're like, hey, you bought sushi, and hey, you bought pizza. Those don't go together, but we'll see how it works. And we love doing this. We love facilitating conversation through having lunch. We also try and facilitate conversation through a wider community by running things like coffee mornings and our monthly talks program, Happy Hour. And conversation over things like coffee and beer and lunch and talks opens up opportunity for collaboration. And collaboration is another important point of Rabble. Hello. So Rabble collaboration happens naturally between individuals that share their workday. And we know that as individuals running a business, it can be difficult without a support network to offer advice and guidance. So this is Janat Ahmed, and she is the founder of Lucent Dreaming, which is a creative writing magazine. That's right. That's right, good. Happy days. And she launched Lucent Dreaming through support from our graduate placement scheme that we run called Umlaen, which in Welsh means forward. Welsh speakers? Does mean forward, good. Happy days. We did look it up, but I was like, ooh, here we go. So Umlaen was a collaborative project that we actually started through conversations with Cardiff University and Creative Cardiff, which is another wonderful network in the city. And this project offers funded desk space and mentoring for Cardiff University graduates who want to start a creative business. We wanted to extend the support, advice, and friendship that Rabble members share with those at the beginning of their journey. And Janat also gives this back with her energy and enthusiasm. And this is what I love about communities and the people within them, is their willingness to support each other. Their openness to sharing their knowledge, their advice, and their lessons. Much like Creative Mornings. So you guys are a community, as we've already discussed this morning, and you've all got shared intentions. So you've come here this morning to hang out and be friends, to listen to someone, to learn something, and to get some audio-visual inspiration to start off your day. You've also come to participate in and support that community that you're a part of, right? I was like, no, maybe, I'm not sure. I just wanted... The coffee's great, that's all I'm here for. No, that's why you've come, to participate in and support the community you're a part of. So, honestly, I'm usually the one introducing these kinds of events, and I never usually have to string a coherent sentence together. So being invited to do this talk actually made me incredibly nervous. And because it made me nervous, I was like, right, I'll get some tricks and tips, right? I'll read all these fucking TED books and books from Do lectures about how to tell a story, and they all say the same thing, right? They all say, like, you've got to impart a message, you've got to inspire your audience, you've got to pass the torch. Which, of course, left me absolutely terrified, I've got no idea what I was going to leave you with as a takeaway from this morning. But, I've been involved in these two, great communities, and the communities in Cardiff, so I decided I'd start with some words from some other people. So Seth Godin isn't from Cardiff. He's an author and a blogger, and he said this: who you hang out with determines what you dream about and what you collide with. And the collisions and the dreams lead to your changes, and the changes are what you become. Change that outcome by changing your circle. So at Rabble, I'm lucky to be sharing a work home with a super talented bunch of people. People I'm also lucky to call my friends. And I totally understand what Seth is trying to say here. I understand that we need to sit next to people who can help us, and in return, we can help them also. And we can help each other to raise our aspirations and to go after that thing that we love. I also got a whole bunch of quotes from people that work at Rabble. And these are quotes about why they value working at Rabble, and why they value the community. So I won't read all of these out, but these are also online for you guys to read on a blog. But for me, the main message here is that there's always someone else to say hi to you when you walk into the door of the space. There's also loads of people here who can help you through a problem, to share the weird ups and downs of self-employed life, and to hold you positively accountable. Everyone helps each other to support each other to turn up for the day, to get stuff done, and to really go after what it is that each other is doing. And I love that about Rabble. One other thing that I love about Rabble is that we've had a lot of people contact us when they've moved to the city. Rabble has become this community that people can reach out to when they don't know anyone. It's actually the community I was looking for when I first moved to the city, and I'm incredibly proud of that. When I started design stuff and Rabble, I had this question, this sort of fear, like, hey, who do you think you are to do all this crazy stuff? You've only just moved here, you didn't know anyone, you didn't know anything about anything. But I'm also a very incredibly impatient person, and I knew that if I didn't do it, who would? So I think that sort of torch I want to pass to you, what I want to share, I think, is this, is if not now, then when? If you haven't found your community, make steps to create one, even if it's just saying hello to your neighbor. Knock on your neighbors next door and say hi. We've got wonderful neighbors where we live. Make those steps to create one. What do you want to see happening in your world? What do you want to be a part of? In communities, we have strength and energy, and we can use that to make things happen. So please, go ahead. Thank you very much. Thank you.